certainly, and I haven't listened to even half of your episodes, but certainly that Limb by Limb episode is the deepest I've ever heard you go. I mean, you recreated the entire song. So for people who haven't listened to Strong Songs, what Kirk does is, as you can tell, he is very thoughtful, picks the song, dives deep. If you listen to the Africa episode, I think anything that you deconstructed for that episode was all done on a piano, which was fine. It allowed you to highlight some things and show some things or whatever. And then often, and certainly now, I think more often than not, what Kirk does is he will create at least snippets of a song, recreate snippets in time with the original recording, so that you can easily sort of float back and forth between them and say, okay, here, listen to the original recording. Now listen to my recreation where I can bring out the bass that you wouldn't necessarily hear and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So for Phish's Limb by Limb, you recreated every part of the entire song, including all the vocal harmonies, and then went back and forth. I have two questions about that. Number one, how long did that take you? And number two, did you play that drum part or did you MIDI that drum part?
I MIDI'd the drum part.
Okay.
I could probably play that drum part. I could not play it like that. And I definitely couldn't play it that precisely. Like
it'll break your brain, that drum part. Yeah.
It's so this is Limb by Limb, a very complex, like an Afro-Cuban polyrhythmic 12/8 thing.
And that's not even doing it justice.
No, right. It's a rhythmically and beautiful song.
Yeah, what Fishman does, John Fishman, Phish's drummer, is for a lot of their songs, not all of them, but he likes to create patterns that are independence exercises to teach his limbs to play weird things at different times. One of the most famous ones that's not a Phish thing is Steve Gadd's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
Yeah.
That started as just a weird limb independence exercise.
It feels like a drum exercise.
It totally is. And Paul Simon came in and heard him doing it and was like, wait, keep doing that. And, and it became the song.
Started singing over it.
Limb by Limb is one of the many Phish songs that clearly just started as like, here's this independence exercise, and probably Trey said, keep playing that, let me write a song around it, and then there you go. So, but super difficult to learn, like, because it probably easier for a non-drummer than a drummer, because it breaks a lot of the patterns you've developed in your head. Okay, so you MIDI'd the drum part. So okay.
I did MIDI the drum part, which took a long time. Like, it just going bar by bar. I mean, I really just went bar by bar. I used what's the audio stretch? I have like a transcribing app that I have that I use on my iPad for guitar transcription that I never used when I was. No, wait, is it Capo? Is that?
No, Capo is the name of the app from Super Mega Ultra Groovy.
No, there's a million of these though. I was like, is there a Capo on this song? No, I don't think so. It's an F, but he doesn't use the Capo.
No.
No, it's called Audio Stretch. I think you can't buy it anymore though.
Okay.
I think I've used Transcribe Plus. If people are looking for one of these, I think that one seems pretty good. Transcribe
Capo,
Plus.
I know the developer of Capo, and he has rewritten the audio engine in it so that when you stretch things, it doesn't like mess with the way they sound and that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Audio Stretch is fine for that. I mean, I wouldn't like. It's
I'll put links to both.
A little gross, but like so I used that, but just one of those apps because there's so many of them, and just slowed it down, and I really just went a note at a time, and like it took a lot because, like you were saying, there's a lot of kind of counterintuitive stuff going on, especially during that guitar solo. He plays some really dope like hemiolas. Some of those parts. Yeah. Like now I just hear them and I hear them, but at the time it was just really like, okay, where is each thing? Just
what is he doing? Yeah.
What is he even doing?
He amazes me that he comes up with this stuff and can play it, but even more than that is he pulls this stuff off live, off the cuff. Like he will come up with patterns like that live with 15,000 people in the room. It's like, dude, if you F this up, it's gonna like the whole place is just gonna fall down.
I think they've learned though, right, that like the wheels never truly fall off the bus, because they definitely crash sometimes, and then they just recover because they're so used to playing with one another. That
they listen.
I think he feels empowered to take risks.
He does,
like,
but
the
those
worst
are
thing
some
that can
pretty
happen
big risks.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
I really love that recording. I've always I like live Phish fine, but that was never my main thing with that band. Like I went to a Phish festival with a friend. It was kind of too much. Like I'd never seen them live, and then he's like, we should just go to Phish festivals. This was in Indio in like I think 2007, and we went, and it was like 4 sets of Phish, and it was cool, but at the same time it was kind of like a lot of sets of the same band, and I'm not deep enough into the live thing.
No, you need to
like
know the
get
catalog
new
to
out of
really
each show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I like their studio stuff and grew up listening to a few of those records really closely. I think Junta, Hoist, and Rift. And
Rift
then
is such a great record. Yeah,
I love Rift. I almost did Rift. That was one of the songs I was considering for this show. And then Story of the Ghost, I really loved. It was the one that came out when I like went and bought it when it came out and listened to it and like found it challenging at first, and then kind of got past that and like discovered what I liked about it and always came back to it. And then Limb by Limb was like, it's just such a high wire act. It's so short that it actually worked really well for the episode, because it allowed me to really recreate the entire thing. I didn't set out
that song's better on the record than it is live. I mean, I've seen them play it live, and it's they cut parts out. They smoothed it out a little too much. Like no. Yeah.
I agree. I'm sure they played it when I saw them live, but there's a bunch of versions on YouTube, and it's just not, it's a very different thing. Like they kind of sing it and then they just jam for a while on 1 to 4 and F. And it's like, cool. It's a Phish jam. It goes a lot of different directions, but
but
the
it's
studio
not
version,
that solo. Yeah.
Yeah. That solo is unbelievable. It's really my favorite Trey Anastasio solo. And I challenged myself to transcribe it, because like I said, I've been like really getting serious about guitar over the last few years, and I've gotten to the point where I can learn that solo, which is a really
That's
I'm
really
very
impressive.
proud of that. Yeah. I'm very proud of that progress, just because there comes a point where, I don't know, the older I get, the better I feel about showing that I can still learn new things and surprising myself, being like, wow, I'm playing this guitar solo that I have spent so many years listening to, and like, that whole crazy arpeggio section over the B section, like I really learned it. And so I challenged myself to do that. That took me I spent months practicing that. I still can't play it perfectly at tempo, but it took me a long time. Like I knew I was going to do this song months ago, like months before it published.
Months before,
began working on it. So I worked on that solo. That alone, if you count that as like prep for that episode, like I spent dozens of hours making that episode, but I don't really count that. I feel like it's the same as saying, well, if I talk about Sonny Rollins, you have to count every hour I spent transcribing Sonny Rollins in my past. Which
it doesn't count.
Works.
That's not how it works. But the episode was a catalyst for you to sort of take that tangential path.
A good excuse for it. Yeah.
A good excuse. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So then I just, recreated Mike's bass parts, which are really cool on that song as well. The piano parts were pretty easy, actually. So I'd say of the instruments that I play, saxophone and like woodwinds, flute and clarinet are all like much higher than everything else. Guitar, though, is like getting there. Like I'm getting to where I could really play that.
If you played that limb by limb solo, even if it wasn't up to tempo or even all at the same time, the fact that you can technically play all of those things that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I can play the guitar at this point. I'm getting to where I'm happy with it. And then kind of piano, I can like I've played in piano in bands, like played keyboard in bands and stuff.
Sure.
And then drums and bass are kind of like I haven't played drums in a while. I'm in the process of building a studio where I can practice again and like get my chops back up. But there was a minute there where I was practicing a lot of drums. And then kind of everything else, like mandolin or bands or like instruments that I've owned and can play and use to record but not really play. So it was really in order on that song. Guitar was the one that like I could really do all the guitar parts and recreate those. And then bass and drums were more, I cheated a lot more in making those, and like drums were all MIDI. And
I figured it's like there's no way. Like I know this guy's good, but there's no way.